That's not on the NFL to babysit. The NFL is not being subtle here. It's a cutthroat league. It always has been. They'll cut you. Tom Brady could be cut tomorrow. You got to know the company you go work for. You got to know their business sensibility. This is not the NBA. It's not what it is. It's not baseball, 10-year contracts. It's not international soccer. Stars sometimes don't pay taxes. They're dramatic. They date supermodel. NFL's hard. They're cutthroat. Bottom line, the Shield wins. Shield's more important than almost all the players. And the reality is they've been fining people and taking away draft picks. They've never been subtle about this. Here's the rules. Follow them. We'll give you weekly reminders. And if you don't play. And so Denver, we're going to make an example of you. I got no problem with it. By the way, the Baltimore Ravens, they're to blame for this mess. I feel bad, but they had a strength and conditioning coach. I know his name, I won't say it. Who was a non-master. Spread it throughout the team. Who pays the price? The Steelers, who didn't get a game check. Follow the rules. The well-run organizations in this league. Kansas City, Pittsburgh, Rams, Seattle, Green Bay. They're not having outbreaks. Be well-run. Be responsible. This is not on the NFL. You know, at some point, the NFL's the parent and the players are the kids. And the NFL's like, okay, here's the ground rules. Here's the curfew. And by the way, I feel bad. I mean, do we treat COVID like an injury? I mean, I know people that have gotten it, and they're responsible people. I'm not pointing this and that. But the Baltimore situation and the Denver situation, those are on the teams and the players. And again, people are picking it. At the grocery store I go to, I don't go as much as I used to, everybody wears masks. And I'm looking at studies where they say even wearing masks, the grocery store is like ground zero. People get it. So I'm not saying just irresponsible people get COVID. We're flying on planes. You hope you don't get it. But these two situations, teams have to own up to it. The NFL's not been subtle. They have not been the permissive parent. Fines, draft picks. The Saints got caught in their locker room after the game, having a party, videotaping it, not wearing masks. Got fined. It's on you. The league told you they didn't want it. Got to follow directions. All right, so I don't talk boxing much on this show, but I watched the Mike Tyson Roy Jones Jr. fight. Yeah, I did. It was $50, whatever.
I watched it also.
Yeah, I mean, whatever. So I don't care if you agree with this or not, but Mike Tyson's 54. Prove me wrong. I think he could, if given the opportunity, be heavyweight champ of the world still. I saw George Foreman do it. He was in worse shape than Tyson. And George Foreman didn't hit any harder than Mike Tyson. And the heavyweight division was better when Foreman was around than it is now. Can you name 3 heavyweights? Mike Tyson was clearly instructed against Roy Jones Jr., don't hit above the shoulders. He could have ended that thing 4 punches in. Roy Jones Jr., the only reason, he even admitted after the fight, I'm sore. He was exhausted. Mike Tyson was told, don't go too high. So Tyson basically worked the body. Tyson could have ended this thing anytime he wanted to. And you call me crazy, this was an orchestrated, planned event. It was in Los Angeles. They weren't going to allow knockdowns, whatever that means. But they always tell you in boxing, this was not a draw. It was ruled a draw. It was not a draw. One guy was in shape. One guy had good movement. One guy still has power. In boxing, they always tell you, the last thing to go is power. You lose your legs. You lose your mobility. You'll lose your interest. Mike Tyson, I watched him and I thought, he's in great shape. If you gave Mike Tyson another 6 months and fought Tyson Fury, put him in there. And you know what? I'd watch. Because here's the thing. It's not the NHL or baseball or the NBA and the NFL. You got standings. When it comes to boxing, it's an event. And Mike Tyson, I like his events. And I sat there and I spent $49.99. And I'm sitting out there because I had to work the next morning. And I'm like, can we get to it? I know the musical acts are great. Love Snoop. Can we get to the fight? My wife kept saying, if they fought yet? And I'm like, no, this is what they do. You pay $50 and they make you sit through a bunch of stuff because they want more people to sign up and everybody got rich. But I'm sitting watching that. And at the end, I'm like, I don't feel guilty. I enjoyed it. And Tyson, given fair opportunities, I think could fight anybody in the world right now. Roy Jones Jr., he just took a paycheck. But Tyson, I'm like, prove me wrong. Put him in the ring. Tyson said he's going to fight again. I don't want any stipulations, no qualifiers. I don't want it orchestrated. I don't want it planned. Let's see him fight. Because I saw Foreman do it, and he wasn't nearly as nimble as Tyson, and I don't think he had the power that Mike Tyson still possesses. Colin right, Colin wrong on a Monday. Next.
Turn on the news. This is the Herdline News.
I can see Nick Wright right now watching that rant.
Oh, I was on the phone with him. And the minute Mike Evans caught that from Brady, Nick's like, I got to go. That's exactly what he hung up on me. He goes, and his TV, because he's on the East Coast in New York, his TV is 6 seconds ahead of me. So Brady walking up to the line, Nick goes, on. I'm like, what? Oh, I got to go.
It's hard to watch games with anyone who is like a little bit ahead or behind you.
Yes.
It's like, let's just text. So the Packers made it look easy last night. It was pretty much unwatchable by the third quarter.
Chicago games are really increasing. I know it's a big market. Their games are tough to watch.
Well, they win ugly, and they lose ugly. They lose ugly, too. 41-25. Packers beat the Bears last night. Aaron Rodgers threw for 211 yards and 4 touchdowns. He also became the 11th player to reach 50,000 career passing yards and hit that mark with the second fewest attempts in NFL history, so still brilliant. Green Bay's defense also had a big game, forcing 3 turnovers from Trubisky, who is making his first start since week 3 and suffered his first loss of the season.
Nicest bad quarterback ever. He's such a wonderful kid. You can tell the players like him. When I watch him,
everybody likes him. Even Tony Dungy could not bring himself to be critical of him.
I mean, I just think Mitch Trubisky's one of those guys that you would love as a friend. He would drive you to the airport, even if he was sick and down in the dumps. But I didn't get it when he came out. I don't get it now, and it just they got to reboot the quarterback situation in Chicago, or else it's just going to be this against Green Bay for the next 3 years.
We definitely need more nice people in the world.
Yes,
there's nothing wrong with being nice, but
I'll take a little less nice at quarterback.
Yeah, I mean, you could just be 10% less nice, and we'll deal with it for, an upgrade in that position. I just feel bad for Chicago fans, and I've felt like this for the past couple of years with Chicago, which is why I think it's so strange that they're consistently in this predicament at the quarterback position. Not that it's easy to find a quarterback, but I mean, we all know who they passed up on.
Well,
so my thing is, like, you have a defense that is capable, right?
You know what they did? That Jay Cutler had a great arm, but was incredibly difficult.
Right.
And then they go interview Mitch Trubisky, and they don't like the arm, but he's such a nice guy.
You overcorrect.
So they overcorrected. So the word on what Chicago did is that Cutler was so poisonous in the locker room and so difficult. They didn't like the guy, but they loved his talent. And then they went and interviewed Trubisky, and they didn't love his talent, but they loved the guy. And they thought, you know what? He's everything Jay's not. Everybody will love him. He's athletic. His arm isn't great. The throwing motion, the mechanics are awful, but they overcorrected. It's like we've all done this before. You date somebody and they're super nice, but you can walk all over them. So then you want to date somebody that you can't walk over, and after about a year, you're like, I miss walking over somebody because now this person's driving me nuts. Trubisky's the opposite of Cutler, and the truth is the answer is somewhere in the middle.
As with most things in life.
That's right.
And look, I'm not going to sit here and act like it's easy to find the perfect franchise quarterback. It's not, obviously. Every team goes through patches of this, and that's understandable. My thing is, you can't fool the locker room, right? Like, it's fine to be a great person, and that's actually a nice thing to do. But at the end of the day, players want to win. So if Jay Cutler was a horrible person and was winning, everyone would overlook it. The problem is that generally doesn't happen. Like, you don't have a lot of stories of great leaders who are half the locker room hates. That's not how it works. So again, like we always talk about, just find some balance in life. Right. And don't disregard the actual tangibles of a real good player. So the Patriots keep their playoff hopes alive, miraculously, with a big win over the Cardinals. Cam Newton struggled all day, but 2 rushing touchdowns from James White and a game-winning field goal from Nick Folk were enough to win 2017. Patriots defense was solid, limiting Arizona's offense to just 298 yards, and it was their second lowest of the season. And Kyler Murray did not have a passing touchdown for the first time this year.
Well, again, let's be fair now. So what is Belichick known for? What is Belichick the best in the NFL at?
Defense.
Well, not only that, he is Einstein against young quarterbacks.
Well,
Josh Allen's been terrible. Darnold's been horrible. So Kyler Murray's like, okay, he doesn't get to see him in a division. He's never seen Belichick's defense. And Belichick, all these young quarterbacks, this is one of these.
Yeah, his record against young quarterbacks is staggering.
It's like 31-3. And so Kyler never seen Belichick. He has no idea what he's going to get defensively. And Cliff Kingsbury's a college coach, just became an NFL coach. So when I watched that game, I'm like, it's one of those you should have betted after the fact. I'm like, of course Kyler Murray's struggling because Josh Allen struggles and Kyler struggled. All Baker struggled against him. All young quarterbacks struggle.
But just experience.
Yep.
Cardinals are now 6-5. So if you look at the AFC playoff picture, though, we're talking about the Patriots still being in the mix. They're at 5-6, Raiders 6-5, and the Ravens are 6-4. So they are still technically in the hunt in the playoffs. They have the Chargers, Rams, Dolphins, Bills, and Jets left. So
how is New England in the hunt? This is an unbelievable coaching job. It really is. They have no playmakers.
it is, and consider